So if you guys haven't heard of this, this is an interview between Bret Baer, which is a Fox News host, and Donald Trump. This went really poorly for Trump. If you're watching this 5 years in the future, he's been indicted for taking documents out of the White House and covering it up and lying about it and all this other stuff, right? It's not great for him. Immediately after being indicted for this, he goes on Fox News and immediately practically incriminates himself. Seriously. So I wanted to listen to what he had to say in this interview because there's an awful lot of incrimination going on in it. Let's give it a listen, see what he had to say here. Hopefully I don't have any copyright issues.
You know, I've asked this question, the same first question, to all the candidates I've interviewed this year, and that is this. What do you think is the most important issue facing the country right now?
So many, so important, but we have to straighten out the economy. We're going to do that through inflation. We have to straighten out our border where we have millions of people pouring in, and we're going to do that very quickly. I had the safest border in the history of our country, and now we have...
Oh, absurd. Like, all of the things that he's saying right now are absolutely absurd. It isn't like he didn't have the safest border in American history? Is that what he said? Just complete and utter nonsense, all of it. The border policy has almost not changed at all since Donald Trump was in office. I mean, the border is no safer or more dangerous now than it was under Biden, but immigration is an important issue for Republicans. Why? Only one reason I can think of. It's immigration's fantastic for an economy. There's no good reason to not have higher immigration than we have right now. Anyways, yeah, this is all virtue signaling BS. Quick interjection. I won't take long. I just wanted to tell you guys, YouTube's algorithm operates off of a few factors. Watch time, whether or not you subscribe, and whether or not you like something. So if you really want to help my channel, I would appreciate it if you guys watch the video to the end. If you don't watch it to the end, just watch a little bit longer than you would have otherwise. I would appreciate that very much. All right, let's get back to the video.
So important, but we have to straighten out the economy. We're going to do that through inflation. We have to straighten out our border where we have millions of people.
Wait, we're going to straighten out the economy through inflation? Is he saying we're going to do more inflation to fix the economy? I think that's what the dude's saying. What?
I've interviewed this year, and that is this. What do you think is the most important issue facing the country right now?
So many, so important, but we have to straighten out the economy. We're going to do that through inflation. We have to straighten out our border where we have millions of people pouring in, and we're going to do that very quickly. I had the safest border in the history of our country, and now we have the most unsafe, I think, anywhere in the world. There's never
nonsense
been anything like it. We have to strengthen up our military. Giving $85 billion to Afghanistan didn't exactly help, but we have to strengthen up our military, get the woke out of our military, and...
God, this dude is obsessed with woke. Almost as obsessed with as Ron DeSantis is with woke. Not quite that bad, but doesn't really get worse than DeSantis on the subject of woke. He says the word woke like 15 times per sentence. Honestly embarrassing.
Basically, respect all over the world. We don't have it anymore. We had tremendous respect 3 years ago. We don't have respect anymore.
Oh, is that what it looks like? Is that respect that we were watching take place when you went to the United Nations and people laughed at you, literally laughed in your face? Is that what that was? Respect? Okay.
They don't listen to us. They don't care about us. They just don't do what we want them to do and what they have to do, especially since we make life very good for many countries, and we have to get that respect back. And if we don't, we've got some big problems.
We asked viewers to send in questions on social media. We had a ton of responses. Here's one of them. Erica tweets this. What is the first thing you will do to turn this country around if you get elected?
Well, I do two simultaneously. I'd start drilling. We have the most liquid gold under our feet, oil, than any other country, more than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia.
It's interesting he says that. Yeah, I think he's correct. We have like a lot of oil in our country, a lot. But we also use a lot. Russia has a fraction of the population that we have. I think we pull 16 million barrels of oil out of the ground every year or somewhere in there, and we use 19 million. That means we have to buy it somewhere else. Now, as far as drilling goes, I'm not sure why we would be using oil in the first place. Why are we doing this? We don't have to buy more oil. We don't even have to spend the money on drilling more. We can just set up solar farms, renewable energy. Why aren't we doing renewable energy? You want to talk about national security? You want to talk about something that would secure our country forever? Get on renewable resources. There's no reason that we should be using oil like this. No reason for it, okay? It's absurd.
And that's going to bring down the pressure on inflation, and we're going to have very little inflation very soon. We had virtually none when I was president.
Virtually none. Well, a little bit of inflation is a good thing. You want some inflation. A little bit of inflation encourages people to spend their money now rather than later. If deflation is happening, or if things are staying steady, if the value of money is not going up, then people are like, well, you know, there's no reason to buy this new car now. I'll just buy it in like a few months or a year or two or whatever. Why would I buy this new car now when it'll be maybe cheaper if there's deflation in a few months, or even possibly less expensive if there's deflation? You need a little bit of inflation to encourage people to spend money now. So instead of saving. Saving hurts the economy, or in most cases. In some cases, I guess it can help depending on the scenario you're in. But anyways, the point is you don't want virtually zero inflation. You want a little bit, which is where we're at right now. Inflation is, from my understanding, at a pretty good level at this immediate moment. Trump is complaining about a problem that he doesn't understand and that doesn't even really need fixed anymore. It did.
Drilling, we have the most liquid gold under our feet, oil, than any other country, more than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia, and that's going to bring down the pressure on inflation, and we're going to have very little inflation very soon. We had virtually none when I was president. And second, that closed up the border, because we can't have prisoners and people from mental institutions coming into our country. They're empty.
Again, like, border policy was no different under Trump than it is now, pretty much. It's all the same, so... he's just looking for a reason to hate Democrats, basically. Looking for some differences that he knows are deep in the psyches of his people, of his voters and supporters. It always comes down to culture war issues with these people.
Out from all over the world, not just from the 3 or 4 countries we talk about, the neighboring countries all over the world. They're coming into our country at levels that nobody's ever seen before, Brett. And we have to stop it. And they are emptying out their prisons, and they're emptying out their mental institutions and insane asylums into the U.S. And
just flat out lie.
We're not a dumping ground. I would stop it immediately and get a lot of the bad ones out. We'd get them out very quickly.
Fox viewers were able to watch your speech here at Bedminster.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom.
The day of your arrest and...
Can you believe it?
Federal
arrest by my opponent.
Appearance in federal court.
God, he is such a martyr 24/7, isn't he? He's got to be the center of attention, and he's so mistreated all the time. Everybody mistreats poor Donald Trump. Like, give it a rest, man.
Miami, right. And your explanation of the Presidential Records Act and your defense, how you and others believe that that applies here. Obviously, you know, other legal experts, your Attorney General Bill Barr, they do not think that that applies to handling classified national security and defense materials. But that legal battle aside, I just want to ask you a couple of specifics.
Oh boy, this is where Trump incriminates himself, from my understanding. I haven't actually watched this whole thing, but I think this part goes really poorly for Trump. This is fascinating, okay? So Bret Baer just brought up the subject of, you know, Donald Trump stealing documents from the White House when he was not entitled to them. And Trump is not a fan of this question.
Why did you have this very sensitive national security defense documents?
Good question. What I find fascinating about the question is that his guilt is built into it. A lot of Trumpers are going with the classic, you don't know that he had this stuff. When we do, in fact, know that he had this stuff. But he built it into the question, we know that he did. That's really interesting. So whatever Trump says next, if it's not a denial, it can be used against him in court.
Like the war plans for a strike on Iran.
So like every other president, I take things out. And in my case, I took it out pretty much in a hurry, but people packed it up and we left. And I had clothing in there. I had all sorts of personal items in there, much stuff.
Not my fault. Okay. Interesting argument.
And by the way, when Bill Barr, who's, a coward, Bill Barr was a coward. Bill Barr didn't do what he was supposed to do. I fired
Oh, boy, he hates Bill Barr.
him, and he has great hatred, and that's okay, because some people do,
He
and
says
some
he
people love
resigned.
me very much. He didn't resign. I asked him, give me a letter immediately.
He said he resigned. Yeah, that's true. Bill Barr said that he resigned and that he was not fired by Trump. Okay. There's an important distinction to be had there.
Because he didn't have the courage to go after so many different things, and you and I have discussed it before, but he was a coward. And he obviously doesn't like me too much, and there are a lot of people that don't, and there are a lot of people that feel just the opposite.
But on the specific on the
let me
documents.
just explain.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of things in there. I will go through those boxes. I have to go through those boxes. I take out personal things. As far as the levels and all, everything was declassified because I had the right to declassify.
No, he did not. But you notice what's happening right now. He is digging himself a hole. He has admitted to having these documents and just said, well, I had the right to declassify. No, you did not. And anybody with half a brain knows that he didn't have that right. But he can't wrap his head around the fact that he's incorrect here. This is deeply incriminating, what he's saying right now. I can't believe his lawyer allowed him on here to talk about this. I can't believe his lawyer said, okay, go ahead and address this question. No lawyer worth anything would ever allow him on to talk about this. They'd say, it's a criminal investigation. I'm not talking about it right now.
You want to talk about a mess? Take a look at Biden, where he's got 1,850 boxes. He has boxes stored in Chinatown in D.C. He has
Like, all of this is made up, what he's saying about Biden right now. The real problem wasn't even necessarily that Trump took the documents with him. It was the fact that he lied and obstructed and tried to cover it up and all this other garbage and made it available to people who were not cleared to have this information, these documents. That's really the issue above anything else. But instead of just addressing that head on, he's blaming Biden. I'm sorry, man. You are digging a hole for yourself right now. Nobody cares about Biden. He's trying to use a propagandistic framing for this for the people's sake, the people listening, when who he should really be talking for is the judge and the jury.
boxes stored at Penn Center, and he has boxes under his Corvette and around his Corvette sitting in a
This is all made up. He didn't have boxes under his Corvette.
garage for years.
How would you have a box under your Corvette? What? Corvettes ride low to the ground, don't they? Could you even fit a box down there?
Let's take a look at Biden, where he's got 1,850 boxes. He has boxes stored in Chinatown in D.C. He has boxes stored at Penn Center, and he has boxes under his Corvette and around his Corvette sitting in a garage for years where it was very seriously classified. I have
Very seriously classified, huh? Okay.
every right.
Well, again, this is just made up. This is all made up. Can I only rewind 15 seconds at a time? That's kind of frustrating.
And he has boxes under his Corvette and around his Corvette sitting in a garage for years where it was very seriously classified. I have every right to have those boxes. This is purely a Presidential Records Act. This is not a criminal thing. In fact, the New York Times...
No, it is a criminal thing. Presidential Records Act. I forget what that is. Hang on. There's some nuance to this. Okay, so in 1978, Congress enacted the Presidential Records Act, PRA, establishing for all time that presidential records belong to the nation the president serves, not the president. The act provides that the United States shall serve and retain complete ownership, possession, and control of presidential records. Donald Trump just invoked the Presidential Records Act when that doesn't really help him at all. That was the thing I'm assuming that was the act that established the National Archives, NARA, in the first place. And that's why they went into his house, raided it, and took the documents out, because he was not following the law. Now, when they discovered what documents were taken, they upped the charge to espionage. So, yeah, I mean, everything that's happened so far makes complete sense. Donald Trump has no idea what he's talking about. And I honestly, if I were his lawyer, I would be freaking out right now watching this.
Of all, had a story just the other day that the only way NARA could ever get this stuff, this back, would be please, 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 could we have it back?
And they
please,
asked for that.
Because they have no. We
They
were
did
talking.
ask for it.
No, and
they said,
I gave
"Can you
them
give the
some,
documents back?"
And we were talking.
And then they said they went to DOJ to subpoena you to get them
Which
back.
they've never done before.
Right.
And in
But
all
why not?
So, okay, well, they went to the Department of Justice to subpoena him. So, okay, they didn't do it before. I don't care. That's because no other president's ever taken documents like this.
Why not just hand them over then?
Because I had boxes. I want to go through the boxes and get all my personal things out. I don't want to hand that over to NARA yet.
Okay, fine. But you have to hand it over to NARA. This went on. How long did this go on? A year? At the very least, months and months and months and months. They're demanding these records. You have to understand that they're going to come in and get those boxes eventually. Or at least he was hoping that they weren't going to, I assume. Well, guess what? You're not above the law, much as you would like to believe that you are. Hopefully, I would like to think that the president is not above the law. No president should ever be above the law. And the fact that they went into his home to get these documents shows that there is some accountability, some. Even if it's not where it should be, at least there's something.
And I was very busy, as you've sort of seen.
Yeah, but
I've
according
been
to
very,
the
very
indictment,
busy.
you then tell this aide to move to other locations after telling your lawyers to say you'd fully complied with the subpoena when you hadn't.
But before I send boxes over, I have to take all of my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things, golf shirts.
Then send the whole box. Send the whole box if you don't want to be raided, like what happened. That's your other option.
Clothing, pants, shoes. There were many things. I would say
Iran war
much more. Not that I know of, but not that I know of.
Wait, what was that? I missed it. Listen again.
All of my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things, golf shirts, clothing, pants, shoes. There were many things. I would say
Iran war
much.
Iran war plans? Oh, dude, this is hilarious. I love it. Bret Baer really laying into this dude. So he says Iran war plans were in there too, and Trump says, not that I know of. No, I think Trump knew exactly what was in those boxes. And it was Iran war plans.
Much more, not that I know of, but everything was declassified. And Biden didn't have the right to do that because he wasn't president. Nor did Mike Pence, by the way, have the right to.
You know what? From my understanding, I don't know how true this is. I heard, this may be completely untrue, so take this with a grain of salt. I heard the vice president also has the right to declassify stuff, but that's completely irrelevant. It does not matter to this case whatsoever. Donald Trump didn't have the right to declassify things when he left office, which is what we're talking about right now. He did not declassify anything. Donald Trump likes to pretend that, he can think about it and declassify things. Things are not declassified until they have the classified markings, at the very least, scribbled out. Honestly, until they have the classified markings covered up and they're scanned in and reprinted without classified markings on them. From what I understand, if something has the classified markings on it, it is still classified. When you remove the classified markings, the document that says classified is still classified until those markings are removed. So you can't simply declassify things by thinking about it, because you still have to remove those markings one way or another.
To do that because he wasn't president.
All right, I'm not going to belabor this.
No, but
I
you look
do
at
want to
this,
just get to the
other
specific.
presidents, when they leave, they take the papers. They have thousands and thousands. Obama had it. Nixon had it. Carter had
Their
it. The
argument
Bushes
is that
had
these
it.
are super sensitive national security documents.
All right, so
here's,
I'm sure you'll
this
see
is-
real super sensitive that Biden has, because
This is-
Biden has far more than anybody's ever kept.
I don't care what Biden has. We're talking about you right now. This is the strongest case of whataboutism I think I've seen in a while. What about Biden? What about Hillary? But her emails. But her emails. Buttery mails. Buttery mails. All they talk about is buttery mails. I don't care about buttery mails. I care about you right now and what you did. Don't tell me about buttery mails.
And he turned them over when asked.
No, he didn't. He still hasn't given the 1,850 boxes that's stored at the University of Delaware. In fact, they're fighting them in court, and they're fighting them. And
Bro, I couldn't possibly care less, and this sounds made up anyways. I care about what you're up to, what you have done to break the law. That's what I care about. That's what we're talking about right now. Get over Biden. Jesus Christ.
But he opened up for them to look at it.
Excuse me. The boxes from Chinatown, he didn't turn them over. He sent them up to his lawyer in Boston to look at before they handed them over.
And their special counsel is looking at that, and we'll see what comes out of it. But I do want to just end with this. I don't want to dwell on it. But according to the indictment, you were here at Bedminster on July 21st, 2021, after you're no longer president, and you were recorded saying that you had a document detailing a plan of attack on another country that was prepared by the U.S. military for you when you were president, the Iran attack plan. You remember that?
Ready?
You were recorded.
It wasn't a document.
Okay.
I had lots of paper. I had copies of newspaper articles.
No, it was a document. And he had copies of newspaper articles? What? Okay. This is a classified document, not a newspaper article. If it was a newspaper article, nobody would care. The problem is that he carried out extremely sensitive information and refused to give it back and told people about it. People that did not have have this level of classification or this rating of what do you call it? Like classified whatever, where you can look at this stuff. People didn't have this level of security clearance. That's what I was looking for. And he showed it to them anyways. Talked to them about it at the very least. What is wrong with you, man?
I had copies of magazines.
I know. This is specifically a quote. You're quoted on the recording saying the document was secret, adding that you could have declassified it while you were president, but, quote, now I can't. You know, this.
Dude, I love it. Yes, exactly. Dude, Bret Baer is really holding this guy's feet to the fire. I think Fox News is done with Trump, honestly. I think they're done dealing with him. I don't think they want anything to do with him anymore, and they're ready for DeSantis. They're ready to at least allow somebody else to step in, whoever that happens to be. And so they're really grilling the dude right now. That's fantastic.
This is still secret, highly.
Step back a little bit.
Paper articles. I had copies of magazines.
I know. This is specifically a quote. You're quoted on the recording saying the document was secret, adding that you could have declassified it while you were president, but, quote, now I can't. You know.
So here's what Trump says. But now I can't, but this is still a secret. That's the quoted recording. Now, to my knowledge, we don't have that actual recording. All we have is the transcript. So here's what Trump says at this point. I never said that. What are you talking about? I don't remember saying that. That's made up. That's what he's supposed to say if he wants to maintain his defense, right?
No, this is still secret, highly confidential. And the indictment cites the recording and the testimony from people in the room saying you showed it to people there that day. So you say on this on tape,
it says just the opposite,
that you can't declassify it. So why have it?
When I said that I couldn't declassify it now, that's because I wasn't president. I never made any bones about that. When I'm not president, I can't declassify.
And that's what you said. You didn't declassify it.
Uh-oh. Did he just incriminate himself? I think he did.
And declassify it, so why have it?
When I said that I couldn't declassify it now, that's because I wasn't president. I never made any bones about that. When I'm not president, I can't declassify.
And that's what you said. You didn't declassify it.
I said no. I said I couldn't. But that wasn't a document, Brett. There was no document. That was a massive.
Wait, you just said there was a document. You just admitted to it, didn't he? Or am I misunderstanding? Is he saying that he didn't have the Iran war plans available? I feel like the dude just incriminated the shit out of himself.
Amount of papers and everything else talking about Iran and other things. And it may have been held up or may not, but that was not a document. I didn't have a document per se. There was nothing to declassify. These were newspaper stories, magazine stories, and articles.
I'm just saying what the...
Okay, if that's the story you want to stick with, fine, I suppose. But we have records of all this stuff. Like, we have pictures of everything. You can only lie about this for so long.
The indictment says.
Well,
the recording and
it's like, you can lie about this if you choose, but when you get in a courtroom, the truth is going to come out. I don't know what this dude thinks he's accomplishing, but this is seriously going to go bad for him in court if he continues to open his gigantic mouth.
The people in the room who testified.
These people are very dishonest people. They're thugs. They're thugs. If you look at what they've done.
Who is they? Are they in the room with us right now? Who's he talking about? He's talking about the deep state. He doesn't want you to, like, connect the dots. He didn't want to establish the subject of the sentence. He just wanted you to assume the subject of the sentence. That's not how the word they works. Okay, go on. So you're saying that they are thugs and they're out to get you, right?
People, what they've done and overturned in the U.S. Supreme Court, these are thugs.
The suggestion was that you wanted this as evidence that the military, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Milley, had preemptively sent you plans for...
Oh, dude, he hates Milley now because Milley basically set out to ensure that he wasn't going to do something psychotic. And he did not like that fact at all.
A possible attack on Iran, and that you didn't order that to happen. That's the suggestion.
I never ordered it to happen, no.
But that's why you wanted the document.
I don't think I've ever seen a document from Milley. Milley, frankly, was incompetent. The last one I'd want to attack with as my leader would be Milley. That I can tell.
Milley is not incompetent. He's extremely intelligent, and he's a Republican to my knowledge, and he knows exactly what he's doing. But he's not an ideologue. He just believes in some conservative values like lower taxes and stuff. You know, things that the right has completely forgotten about and thrown to the wayside in favor of these ridiculous culture war issues like gay marriage and stuff and trans rights and all that. I don't know how he feels about that. From what I can tell, Milley doesn't really care about the culture war issues or the social issues. What he cares about is lower taxes and things.
And that you didn't order that to happen. That's the suggestion.
I never ordered it to happen, no.
But that's why you wanted the document.
I don't think I've ever seen a document from Milley. Milley, frankly, was incompetent. The last one I'd want to attack with as my leader would be Milley. That I can...
Absurd. Milley is deeply competent, knows exactly what he's doing.
Tell you,
all right, last thing on this. There are 31 documents listed. Nuclear capabilities of foreign countries, related to military capabilities of foreign countries, intelligence briefings on foreign countries. Why do you want to hold on to those documents after you're president?
I don't say I do.
You just didn't know what was in the boxes?
With NARA, giving them back. All of a sudden, we've got raided, which...
This is fascinating. So Trump is effectively admitting to taking these documents instead of saying, I didn't have these documents, they were not in my possession, this is complete nonsense, or, well, even that would be a stupid way of attacking this. He's not giving any viable defense right now. Instead, you should just clam up, shut your mouth, and say you're not answering questions about this. That's honestly what he should be doing. Instead, he's arguing like he can win the case by talking to Bret Baer about it. Like, what?
Which is a violation of my, Fourth Amendment rights. They raided...
No, it's not a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights. You can be raided, you can be searched, whether you have Fourth Amendment rights or not. You do. You have Fourth Amendment rights. But you can be raided and searched, and those can be suspended for that seizure if it's, if it meets certain criteria. If it's in the public's interest or for public safety or whatever. I don't remember what the rules are. DUI checkpoints are an obvious example of a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights, but it was in the public's safety interests to set up DUI checkpoints, so they allowed it. That's just one example of what I'm talking about.
My home, and they came and they took things. We were discussing this with NARA.
Cry me a river, dude. Don't take classified documents. Do you know that I've never worried about NARA or anybody else raiding my house? Because I've never taken classified documents home with me. Seriously, this guy thinks he's above the law, thinks he's protected from anything. So he doesn't worry about what he could say on film.
Look at Obama, look at Clinton. Clinton took documents, Clinton took tapes in his sock.
I don't care about Clinton. Why are we talking about Clinton? buttery males constantly with this guy. I don't care about buttery males, okay? Some people care about buttery males. It's just not my thing.
Interviews
and you know
with
what
the
happened?
historian.
The Clinton Sox case.
I do know it well.
And it basically said the president has every right to keep whatever he wants, and that includes me.
And the question
This
is whether
was not a criminal case. Let me tell
highly
you.
classified government national security documents fall in that
I
category,
can-
and that battle is going to be fought in the courts.
It's already been fought.
All right.
There's a decision.
No, it hasn't been fought. What he did was illegal, and he is now facing the consequences for those actions.
Strongly that you can keep. But I wouldn't have kept. But they raided my house. They came in and raided. We were discussing having.
I wouldn't have kept them, but they came in and raided my house. Well, you had like a year to turn it over.
Very good discussions with NARA, a radical left group, by the way.
The National Archives is a radical left group. Now, let me tell you something about how the United States kind of functions. The government functions this way. There is a nonpartisan understanding in the U.S. government where you will do your job for better or worse, no matter what. You will understand the job that you're doing, and you won't be partisan about it. That there's kind of an understanding in the U.S. government that that's what you do. That doesn't make NARA radical left. That makes them nonpartisan. Nonpartisan is not the same as radical left. If they're not on Trump's side, then they're on the other side. This is what an us versus them mentality produces.
And all of a sudden, my house got raided.
Do you know if you still have any highly sensitive government documents?
No, I don't have anything, no.
Why didn't you check the, this is a recommendation for Trump. Why don't you check the bathroom that had the photocopier in it? Maybe the bathroom with the photocopier in it sitting next to those documents might have more documents in it. What were you even doing with those? Why were they in your bathroom? You just sit there reading them like a shampoo bottle when you forget your phone or something? Honestly? Is that why you had the photocopier in there too? Why in the bathroom?
Okay.
But what I'm concerned about, they took everything, right?
Uh-huh.
I don't know what they took. They could be stuffing it. I don't know what they put in there.
Well, they took records of it. Again, there is a nonpartisan underpinning in the entire government, even the FBI. Let me tell you something about the FBI. There are some radical nutcases in the FBI, absolutely. So mostly far right, because that makes up the majority of law enforcement in the United States. You know, I suppose there are probably some pretty far left people in there too. I can see that. But by and large, the FBI is nonpartisan. The FBI famously... Shit, I didn't mean to do that. Please no, please no, please no, I need that! The FBI famously entrapped some people called the Dixon Five. They were some Muslims in Pennsylvania, I think. I don't remember exactly where they were. They were some Muslims somewhere who were entrapped. The FBI encouraged these people to do something that was illegal when they wouldn't have otherwise. And the Dixon Five are sitting in prison right now to this day. ADX Florence Supermax, which is about as bad as it gets in the United States. That's where they are to this day. But the FBI doesn't just do that to Muslims. They don't just do that to the right. They do that to the left. They do it to everybody. That's what the FBI does, unfortunately. That's their method. The FBI is, you know, kind of right-wing, but overall else, they're mostly nonpartisan, and they like entrapping people. That's what it's really about for them.